The gun was about to fire, but Kiyotaka Aniyokoji suddenly sniffed the air and noticed a familiar smell. He furrowed his brows and spoke. "Ketchup?" Sans began to chuckle and pulled an empty ketchup bottle from his coat, then smoking up at him. Kiyotaka Aniyokoji turned to see Izayoi descending from the sky, covered in ketchup, and swinging at him. Kiyotaka Aniyokoji quickly dodged as Izayoi's monstrous strength caused him to punch the ground with incredible force, shattering and cracking the floor beneath everyone. The impact was so powerful that the whole upper floor began to shake and crumble, sending debris and dust everywhere as the ceiling started to cave in. Kiyotaka Aniyokoji had to think fast as he avoided falling debris and dodged Izayoi's attacks. He searched for a way out, but with the floor collapsing and the ceiling crumbling, it seemed impossible to escape. The chaos and destruction continued as the two clashed, sending shockwaves throughout the building. Amidst the chaos, people screamed all around, and the blaring of alarms echoed throughout the building. The sudden collapse of the upper floor caused a massive cloud of dust and debris to billow out, obscuring the vision of anyone caught within its reach. The security guards, who were initially sleeping, were jolted awake by the commotion and quickly grabbed their guns, sprinting into the thick fog in an attempt to both assess the situation and regain control of the situation. The building was in chaos, with water pouring in and guards scrambling to evacuate. Kiyotaka Aniyokoji searched through the thick fog, his eyes scanning for any threats. He spotted a figure in the distance that looked like Sans and raised his gun to take aim. Suddenly, a guard screamed,
"He us again!"
Suddenly, from all directions, gunshots echoed through the air, making the already tense atmosphere even more chaotic. People running in every direction, trying to find cover from the hail of bullets. Kiyotaka Aniyokoji quickly realized that they were under attack from multiple angles and pulled out his own weapon, scanning the area for any sign of attackers. Red liquid sprayed all around, bullets flying in every direction. Kiyotaka Aniyokoji stumbled and fell onto the ground, his body racked with pain. He tried to crawl away from the chaos, but his strength was failing him with each passing moment. Kiyotaka Aniyokoji managed to slip away from the guards, leaving a trail of red liquid behind him. The sound of gunfire echoed throughout the halls, and Kiyotaka's heart was pounding in his chest. As he ran, he couldn't help but think that all the grueling training in the White Room had prepared him for this moment. As Kiyotaka Aniyokoji crawled away leaving a trail of red liquid, he suddenly noticed a shoe in front of him. Looking up, he saw Sakamaki Izayoi cracking his knuckles, a menacing smirk on his face. Kiyotaka knew that this was the moment he had been preparing for in the White Room. Kiyotaka Aniyokoji was determined to not go down easily. He sprang up and delivered a flurry of strikes at Izayoi. However, Izayoi was a skilled fighter himself, and he went blow for blow against Kiyotaka and Iokoji. The two engaged in fierce hand-to-hand combat, with neither of them willing to back down. Punches and kicks were exchanged. The sound of their grunts echoed throughout the hallway. Punches and kicks were exchanged, and the sounds of their grunts echoed through the hallway. Despite Izayo's monster strength, Kiyotaka and Iokoji managed to hold his own. His training in the White Room had prepared him for this moment, and he was using his full strength and agility to keep up with Izayoi. The two fighters seemed evenly matched, but Kiyotaka and Iokoji knew he couldn't let this go on for long. He had to find a way to end the fight and escape before more guards arrived. Kiyotaka and Iokoji coughed, spitting out some red liquid. Was this truly what you planned? Seems very flawed, personally, he remarked. Izayoi only smirked and didn't respond. He picked up the pace of the battle, increasing his strength and speed dangerously quickly. Kiyotaka and Iokoji couldn't help but notice that Izayoi was going easy on him, but he couldn't figure out why. As they continued to exchange blows, Kiyotaka and Iokoji tried to come up with a strategy to gain the upper hand. As Izayoi and Kiyotaka and Iokoji locked in a grapple, Kiyotaka and Iokoji found himself being overpowered and driven into the wall with tremendous force. The impact was so powerful that it left a deep dent in the solid concrete wall. Kiyotaka and Iokoji gritted his teeth and struggled to break free, but Izayoi's grip was too strong. He knew he had to come up with a new strategy quickly if he wanted to survive this fight. Suddenly, Kiyotaka and Iokoji heard a familiar clicking sound next to his ear. He turned around to see Sans holding his gun, his face twisted with anger. "This one's for Papyrus. Burn in hell!" Sans shouted as he pulled the trigger. A loud bang echoed softly due to the silencer, followed by a tense silence that was broken by the sound of red liquid spilling onto the ground. What could be heard following after is the snapping of bones and the spilling of red liquid. Izayoi grabbed Kiyotaka and Iokoji and removed his head just to make sure he was dead, dropping his head on the ground and stomping it to mush. Sans stood there, silently watching as Izayoi finished off Kiyotaka and Iokoji. Shiro, Sora, and Arata emerged from the shadows, their clothes stained with ketchup. Shiro asked, "Has it come to an end now?" As Sans looked down a dimly lit hallway, he saw what appeared to be an illusion of Papyrus, with a smile on his face, looking back at him. He muttered to himself, "I think it's over. I hope." Arata spoke with his calm and cool demeanor. It seems like everything is going to work out from this point on. We just need to stay vigilant and be prepared for any unforeseen circumstances. Sora and Shiro nodded in agreement as they walked towards Sans and Izeoi. The group looked exhausted and covered in ketchup, but relieved that the chaos had finally come to an end. As they made their way out of the building, the image of Papyrus continued to linger in Sans' mind, leaving him wondering if everything was truly over. Sora would chuckle as he thought for a moment, and then asked Sans, "By the way, whatever happened to your big brother/dad? What was his name? Gaster, right?" Sans took a moment to think before answering. "Honestly, I'm not sure. He never returned any of my calls. I assume he went back to the underground." Shiro looked confused and asked, "What's the underground?" Sans explained, "It's a place where we used to live before coming to the surface. It's where all the monsters were trapped for years. But things are different now. We're free and we're making a new life up here." Izeoi raised an eyebrow, intrigued by Sans' words. "Well, I'm interested in hearing it," he said. Sans hesitated for a moment before sighing. "All right, but it's a bit of a heavy story. You guys might want to sit down for this," he said, then motioning them to follow him to a nearby room. As they all settled down, Sans began to recount the tale of how monsters and humans used to live together in harmony until a war broke out between them. The monsters were driven underground and sealed away, unable to return to the surface. But things have started to change lately, Sans continued. Some humans have been opening up to us, and there's even talk of lifting the barrier and letting us back into the world above. It's a long shot, but we're hopeful. Sora nodded thoughtfully. It's a sad story, but it's good to know that there's still hope for change. Arata smiled. It's up to all of us to make that change happen. Shiro nodded in agreement. We may be different, but we're all just trying to find our place in this world. Suddenly, the ground began to shake violently, causing everyone to look at each other in concern. They quickly got up and rushed to the window to see what was happening. Outside, they could see buildings collapsing and people running in panic. Arata quickly assessed the situation. This could be a natural disaster or something else entirely. Sora added, "We need to act fast. We can't just sit here and do nothing." Shiro nodded in agreement. "Let's gather up as much supplies as we can and try to find a safe place to ride out the storm." Izeoi, who had been silent until now, spoke up. "I'm with you guys. We'll get through this together." As they rushed to gather their belongings, the rumbling grew louder, and the ground beneath them started to crack. They knew they had to move quickly before it was too late. The scene fades to black, leaving the fate of our heroes unknown.